All right, guys, we're coming into another video. Thank you so much for showing up for this video. If you haven't, if you're part of the replay gang, make sure that you definitely like the video. Leave your comments as usual. Leave all your comments, your opinions, and everything like that in the discussion box. We do not have to agree, but I promise you, if you say something to me that doesn't make sense, I'm definitely going to school you a little bit, at least of what I know. Like I tell everybody all day, I'm just a regular human being, but guess what? I have to vote on these things as if I went to a college to get a degree in these areas. So I'm not a professional by all means. And so when I explain, I am explaining based upon what I am getting when I read these read about these topics and the videos and things that I look at to further explain these topics. So keep that in mind, but keep your comments and put them in the comment section. I definitely appreciate that. You do not have to agree with me. I'm not one of those people that can't not be agreed with. And if what you're saying makes sense, then, hey, it is what it is. But if it doesn't make sense, trust me, I'm going to say something about it. Now, as you read from the title, it said, did Trump create or inherit a strong economy? And the reason that I brought this to everyone's knowledge today, or to everyone's attention, today, is because of the simple reason that we hear Trump a lot of times say what he's done, and that he's done so much for America, and he's done so much for different groups of people and things of that nature. So this is more so concerning the economy instead of groups of people, which is good because for once we're not talking about race. However, we're going to read through an article that was actually, well, it's not really an article, but a profile that was, or search that was actually done by a congressman. Because, like I said, Trump keeps talking about how much he's done so much for the economy and how he created this strong economy. And he's acting as if everybody that was before him and even after him are doing such a poor job. And that, but when he was in office, he just owes so much great things. Now, I'm not going to deny that he may have done some things for the economy, or he may have improved on some things. But what I will deny is the fact that I do not think he did it all by himself. And honestly, I think he got a little bit of help along the way, just in my opinion. But we're going to get into this here. We're actually going to get into this right now. Okay, so the Joint Economic Committee, it's Congressman Don Beyer, who's the vice chair, and that's the person that put this together. And it's the same title. Did Trump create or inherit the strong economy? Everybody wants to know that. Well, at least the people that really want to know if he actually put something into place want to know that. The people that are okay with doing the research want to know that. And I know a lot of people have heard him say how much he did for the economy and how, he done all these great things. And so, I felt like that was a great topic, so let's talk about it. It says the U.S. economy is in its 11th year of expansion. Now, we know that Donald Trump has not been in office for 11 years, and so therefore, that means that someone else had to help, right? So it's with exceptionally low unemployment and robust job creation. There are signs that the economy may be weakening due to the trade war and other factors, but so far, it has proven resilient, meaning even though Joe Biden has been in office for the last 3.5 years, clearly it's not as bad as some people would try to make it seem. Now, President Donald Trump claims credit for the strong economy, saying that he inherited a disaster from the President Barack Obama, and he accomplished an economic turnaround of historic proportions. Now, again, it says that the U.S. economy is in its 11th year of expansion with exceptionally low unemployment and robust job creation. So again, that's already not making sense because he hasn't served for 11 years. And there's just no way he inherited a disaster if the economy already wasn't making a comeback of sorts. All right, so it says, however, the truth is that by the time he became president, the economy largely had recovered from the Great Recession and was nearly full strength, which means Barack Obama must have done something. Now, hold on. You know what? Does it have a date on here? don't see a date on here, but we'll find something. Because I do know that this article was put out before President Biden got into office, or at least at the beginning of his office, if not. But we'll double check that. So I'm pretty sure we'll get there. Okay. However, the truth is that by the time he became president, the economy largely had recovered from the Great Recession and was nearing full strength. Now, the question is whether Trump's erratic policies will undermine the strong economy he inherited. So that already answers the question right there. He didn't create it, he inherited it, in which we already knew that anyway, because 11th years of expansion, or years of year, yeah, 11th year of expansion with exceptionally low unemployment and robust job creations. Um, so we already know he didn't create that, right? So let's get into the facts of it and how we know that he didn't create that. It says Obama was handed an economic catastrophe and prevented an even greater meltdown. Now, I don't know if you guys were around or paying attention in 2008, but a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people lost their homes. Oh my gosh, a lot of people lost their homes. A lot of people lost a lot of stuff. We really did go into a recession. I remember I was in college at the time, and even a friend of mine who lived across the street from me lost his home because even though he was renting, his landlord lost the home. And when the landlord lost the home, he lost his place to live as well. And he had an entire family. Now, mind you, I'm not talking about someone of college age. I'm talking about a male that I knew that had worked, I believe it for the local cable company at the time. He had worked with the local cable company, and literally was almost near retirement. Uh-oh, I hope you guys can hear better now. But he was literally almost near retirement. Wife, his grandchildren had to move, and they didn't know how they were going to do it. And on top of that, he lost his job with that cable company because that cable company lost so much money that they literally had to lay off a lot of people, and he was one of the ones who got laid off, even though he had been working with that company for years. Um, so yeah, that goes to speak on. Now, 2009, of course, is when Barack Obama came into power. This was right after the Bush administration, if y'all remember. Um, yeah, people didn't really like him too much. And in fact, they even threw a boot at him. But yeah, this is when, right after Bush had came into power, or the Bush administration had ended. I'll put it that way. And so Obama came in. So what he came into was really not a good deal. It was literally the worst financial crisis in global history, including the Great Depression. Okay, in the last quarter of 2008, GDP plummeted 8.4%, and the economy hemorrhaged more than 1.9 million jobs. And as I told you before, I knew one person, actually knew more than one person who actually um, was affected by that. He lost his job and he lost his home, and it was very unfortunate. And every time I get on here, somebody wants to call me. It just never. All right, so it says Barack Obama and the congressional Democrats took strong action to rescue the economy, including implementing the stimulus. So there's another fallacy within itself. Remember, everybody wants to give Trump the credit for implementing stimuluses. Did they forget about the ones that President Obama gave us? I know, because I was one of the ones that got one. Sure did. I was in college at the time. I also was working one or probably two jobs at that particular time. And that was just to make ends meet, because I didn't get refund checks. And even if when you do get refund checks, they're not always like these huge amounts. I remember one time I got a refund check. It was like $600. That was literally like my rent for like 1 month. It wasn't nothing crazy. So I had to go out and I had to work, because my family at the time was not in a financial position to be able to do that or help me with that. So I had to do it on my own. But yes, I actually got one of those checks. I think it was only like $300 is what I got. But I mean, it is what it is. That's all I was, That's all I could get. But Obama was actually the first person that implemented the stimulus, and it was called the Troubled Asset Relief Program, or TARP. Now, it's a financial reform, and also he implemented, I'm sorry, the financial reform bailout. In addition, the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates and took extraordinary measures to boost growth. Research by economists Alan Blinder and Mark Zandi. Without this multifaceted response, the recession would have lasted twice as long. Not once, but twice as long. Job losses would have been twice as high, and the drop in GPD would have been more than 3 times worse. That's a lot. This man put things into play, and even though everybody might not have liked it, and even though a lot of people fought against it, he still brought us out of a recession that literally could have lasted twice as long. Twice as many people would have lost their jobs, and the drop in the GPD would have been, again, 3 times worse. So it says Trump inherited a strong economy that got stronger. So that means that he did implement some things that would help us for that time. It was not a disaster as he's claimed. It was actually strong. So unemployment under the Obama, unemployment fell from a recession peak of 10% to only 1%. So that's 6.3% unemployment fell. Remember, I told you a lot of people lost their jobs. In fact, we said 1.9 million jobs. Well, guess what? 6.3% of those people, well, not 6.3 of the people, but the recession peak, by the recession peak, the unemployment fell, the rate of unemployment fell to only 4.7%. So that means a lot of people got jobs back. It continued to drop and is now, okay, so this is during the Trump administration. Woo. So Trump came into office and he dropped it down to 3.5%. Now, how much of a difference is that? That's 1.2%. Okay. Obama dropped it down by 6.3%, and he dropped it down another 1.2%. Looks like Obama's winning on that one. So it doesn't look like he inherited a disaster as much as he tries to claim. Now, by the end of the Obama administration, the economy had experienced 76 consecutive months of job growth. Okay, so for 76 straight months, people were becoming employed again. Since Trump became president, the streak has been extended to 111 consecutive months. Now, that did it for 111 consecutive months. It means he did it for 111 minus the 76. And just so I don't get the math wrong, because that's always possible, that's 35 consecutive months. So here we are. We have Obama, who has implemented some things, and for 76 months, he did a great job and people got jobs back. Trump came into office. He added 5 more months on 35. Looks like Obama wins again on job growth. The average monthly job growth during the last 35 months of the Obama administration, non-farm job growth averaged 227,000 per month. During the first 35 months, so not the entire office, but the first 35 months of the Trump administration, the average was 36,000 jobs per month less, averaging 191,000 jobs per month. I don't know about you, but 227K is definitely higher than 191K. So once again, he didn't create that. He inherited that. Looks like it was already on its way up because Obama had got 227,000 jobs a month, the growth, whereas he got 191. Did he make it better? Did he continue on in that fashion? Yes, he did. But did he create it? No, he did not. Obama wins again. GPD growth. The average real GPD growth was roughly the same, 0.6% for the first under President Trump, and looks like that ended around September 2019. And then for the last 11 quarters of the Obama administration. So, okay, 22 quarters between the two presidents, right? The GPD growth was around 2.6%. So they're kind of tied up in that area, right? They're kind of tied there, right? Nothing wrong. Income during the last administration, the annual median household income increased $4,800, 3 times more than the $1,400 increase during the first 2 years of the Trump administration. So the last two Obama administration, he increased the household income on average about $4,800. For Trump's first 2 years, right, he increased it again, but for $1,400. So the money started going up around the end of um, the last 2 years of the Obama administration. Things had start turning around. We were going back in a positive direction, right? There was a large increase. Trump came in and he increased it a little bit more. That wasn't the same, but it was a little bit more, and it was for his first 2 years of his administration. Now we do know that Obama served 8 years and Trump served 4, so that would mean not term, but in his second term, he was able to really turn things around and help with that household income. Trump served 4 years, which is half the time, so he inherited an economy that was boosting, right? And then he boosted it up a little bit more, but then everything fell back off again. So once again, he didn't. He inherited that. He not going to take anything away from him on the improving, but it was very short lived. The stock market. President Trump frequently points to the to the stock market as evidence of his success, even though it is a poor proxy for the nation's overall economic well-being since nearly half of Americans do not own stock. Do you own stock? I do, but do you own stock? Are you part of the half that don't own stock? It's fine if you are. It's fine if you're not. But the whole point is everyone doesn't own, either directly or indirectly. However, even by this measure, he lags behind President Obama. Also, Sway, in 3 years in office, the Dow Jones he lags behind. I'm sorry, the Dow Jones Industrial Average almost 50%. So during his first 3 years, the Dow Jones went up by 50%. Awesome. While over the 8 years of the Obama administration, the Dow Jones increased 140%. So some people will say, "Oh, well, he increased it by 10% in the smaller amount of time, 3 years." That is true. However, Obama received the presidency, or his administration went to work while we were in a recession. He turned it around and still increased it almost 140%. Okay. So to be honest with you, it's a substantially at a greater pace. He did it quicker. He did it a whole lot quicker. So it says mainstream economists say that the economy was strong before Trump took office. One where our question is being answered. A strong economy, he inherited one. He inherited. Greg Q, Chairman George W. Bush, states that the economy was in fine shape at the end of the Obama administration, despite what Trump sometimes asserts. And he does. He asserts that he created something, and that when he got the economy, it was in total ruins, and he turned it around like Superman and came to save the day. But that's just not true. And the sad part about it is, because a lot of people don't do research, they believe this. He's fast talking you into believing that he did something that he really didn't. He's taking credit for someone else's work. I know somebody who does that, right? Anyways, a substantial part of Trump occurred while before his signature. Okay, President Trump's most significant his 1.9 trillion tax cut trillion did not take effect until January 2018. Yeah, so remember that? It didn't take effect. Now, he may have used it as part of his policy, as far as, some of his ideas he was throwing out there while he was campaigning. But guess what? He got in 2016. It did not actually take effect until 2 years later, a year, that's a year after he took office. Okay, so we voted in 2016. Okay, so he 17. Got it. By that time, unemployment had dropped from 4.7% to 4.1%. Household incomes had increased by $850, and 2.3 million new jobs had been created. So he implemented the $1.9 trillion tax cuts. It took effect a whole year later. It take effect. Unemployment had dropped again because again the economy was getting back to business. Total incomes had increased. Once again, he added a little, and then 2.3 million new jobs were also created as well. The tax cuts may have caused a slight sugar high, but at a very high price. And this is where we're going to get into why the second half of his term was this. Okay. The 2017 tax cuts likely added some fuel to the economy because they increased corporate profits, benefiting the shareholders. So if you were one of the stockholders and you had some shares in a company, you probably, and it gave individuals more money to spend. There you go. However, many economists say that the sugar high from the tax cuts is wearing off. In fact, business investments have declined for 2 consecutive quarters, and a recent analysis by the New York Times found no relation between the size of the tax cut companies and industries received and their investments. So if you were not a company head or not a person who had shares of these companies, then the tax did not benefit you. Now, if you owned stock or you were a company head yourself, then you benefited a little bit. But if you didn't, which is half of America who does not have any stock, who do not own corporate companies or industries, they didn't receive those cuts. So for all the people who think, oh, he did all this stuff because he cut my taxes, when if you didn't own stocks or own those companies, you didn't receive any of that. In the long term, the 1.9 trillion in new federal debt will likely weigh down the economy. In the Biden-Harris administration, how it did just that. Now, let's continue further, and once we get through it, then we'll talk about it. Trump war hurts consumers, businesses, and the economy. Okay, how so? American businesses and not foreigners. So if you have an American business, and if American consumer, meaning you go out and you buy goods, you pay the tariffs. A tariff is a tax. You pay that, not foreign people. Although the tariffs hurt by reducing demand for more Chinese goods, they also hurt American businesses that pay the tariffs. American consumers who buy the higher priced products. Sounds like inflation, doesn't it? What are we experiencing right now? Inflation. Experiencing since 2020. High inflation. Anyways, American farmers who are hit with the reciprocal tariff down by the interaction of these forces. It's because we, the people of this country, have been having to pay the tariffs. Also, the businesses. So basically, what happens is the business, they get a bill. And instead of them saying, oh, I'm going to dip into my profits and just pay that off, it's not what they do. What they do is they hike up the price of the goods. So we, in turn, end up paying it. But then they probably put what they call a little bit of pig fat on it and just put it up just a little bit more, so that whatever they do have to pay in other areas or just in general, or I don't know, maybe they just want more profit. Who knows? So we end up paying it as consumers because when we go buy stuff, eggs turns from $2 to $5. When we go buy groceries, a pack of meat $7 to $14. Doesn't sound like we benefited from much there. There are clearly There clearly are American casualties in the trade war. Damage is yet to be seen. Exactly, because at this particular time, Trump was in office. Biden came into office after that, and then it looks like Biden's doing this horrible bad job. What was handed to him was already getting worse. One already cost 300,000 American jobs as of September 2019, and the number would rise to 450 American jobs by the end of 2019. Yeah, they moved their businesses from here and they moved it over to another country, and 450,000 American jobs were lost. 2019. Trump was in office. Furthermore, the Congressional Budget Office estimates that the trade war will reduce the GDP by 0.3% in 2020. So, looks like from the sounds of it, this article, right? Not really an article, but this PDF itself looks like it was written around 2020. Now, 2020 was probably not over yet, and so therefore it started using future tense like will reduce in 2020. But it doesn't say by 2020; it says in 2020. So I'm going to assume that this was written in 2020. While Trump argues that his phase one trade deal announced earlier this month was historic, it fell short on many accounts. It didn't, it did not eradicate all import tariffs. It did not address fundamental issues like China's corporate their unfair practices, and it relied on up purchases of American goods that very well may not come into fruition. I'll read that again. It did not address fundamental issues like China's corporate subsidies and other unfair practices. And it relied, it did not eradicate all import tariffs as it was promised to do. And it also relied on some promises that did not come into fruition because we're past 2020 now. It didn't because, again, look at inflation, look at the cost of living, and then look how much is in your check. Yeah. Trump inherited a strong economy. Will he weaken it? Again, this is during 2020 or around that time. So the effects of his administration and his policies that he put in place, of course, hadn't happened yet because who's this? The effects of had not happened yet. But here in 2024, we've seen some of the byproducts of it. Now, am I going to say, am I sitting here that Joe Biden did everything right? No, I'm not. Am I that he inherited something worse than what Trump initially inherited? Yes, he did. Because some of the stuff that he put into place and some of the promises that he made not pan over the way that he expected them to. And then some of it was just flat out lies. There are a lot of things that he said he was going to do that never happened. It is clear that Trump inherited a strong economy that was still trending upward when he entered office. Those trends so far in this, as they say, have continued. Again, his first 2 years of presidency up, they continued to climb. It peaked out and it started coming back down. Now, the economy has received a small boost from the 2017 tax cuts. Again, remember they said it's like a sugar high. But what happens when you have a sugar high? You eventually crash. It's like drinking that Red Bull. It gives you wings for a little while, but then eventually you're so sleepy you don't know what to do with yourself. You crash. And that's what started happening. But many economists believe that sugar high will be short lived. See? See what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the Trump trade war has hurt American consumers and businesses, and it may slow future economic growth. And here we are in the Biden-Harris administration with that slowed future economic growth. Now, are we still doing good or decent? I would say it could be worse. It could definitely be worse. But It peaked out the same way these people thought it would. In short, Trump inherited a strong economy from Barack Obama. The question is whether he will weaken it. Again, therefore, we now know that yes, he did. Some of the things that he implemented definitely did weaken the economy because the inflation is through the roof. The cost of living is through the roof. Look how everything was built when we were in during COVID. It's through the roof. Second, I hear my baby crying, and so I'm gonna take a pause. Okay, I'm back. Little man dropped his pacifier, so had to get that out of the way. Now let's get back into it. We got a chart here. Non-farm growth. Okay. Let's see how they're doing this. It's from January 2008 to December 2019. All right, here. What do we have? Looks like in 2008, um, jobs per month on average was low. How low is it? Let's see if I can get this to go down a little bit so we can see. I hope you guys can still see it. So here we are at 2000, and from 2008 to around 09, jobs were being lost. That's that recession I was talking about, when people were losing all their jobs and losing all their homes, and it was really bad. That's when Obama, uh, right, looks like his first year, within either his first year or the year before. I believe he was elected in 08, and so he started in 09. So this is the end of the Bush administration. Yes, that's red, and he was, yeah. So this is the end of the Bush administration. And he told us to get up on that horse and ride it. And then Obama comes into office in 09. He's elected in 08. And he got at the bottom. Again, everybody lost their jobs. And then it started to trickle back up. He started to implement things that started to turn it around. So then it started turning around by 2010. Looks like he did a lot, because it went up by a lot. Hold on just a second. I'm so sorry. Again, people always want to call and text while I'm doing a video. So it went up. He implemented some things. Looks like here around 2010, we were still below, but it looks like it went from 1,000 up to about 200 or 300,000 right up here at the beginning of 2010. This is during the Obama administration. It continued to go upward around 20. Looks like it went up to about 400,000, and then looks like it came back down a little bit around, I would say 300,000 around 2011, and then it came all the way back down to a little bit. I'd say probably about 50 to 75,000 up in here during the 2011. So 2011 was a little rocky, but it went right back up. Again, it's a little rocky. It's moving a little sideways there. And then 2012 came in and it did a little boost again, and it came back down again. 2013, it's pretty much kind of like the median, I would say here. Well, not necessarily the median, but the average. I'd say about 200,000 jobs is where we were at. 2014 came, and we came back up. So I said we were probably around about 300,000 jobs there. And then 2014 came. Oh no, this is 14. So this is 14. So now this is campaign year here, right? Is this campaign year? No, 2012 would have been campaign year for second year. Okay, so this is during his second term, from 12 over here to 16. So this is where where we were, and it goes up and down, but it was pretty steady um, throughout that time. But we're in the positives, so inherited it where 800,000 people um, lost jobs. So then here is around the 2016 mark, right here, which is where Trump was elected in. So when Trump got it, we were still on a little a growing economy. So he didn't create a growing economy. We were still riding on the wave that Obama had set into place. He kept it going. He implemented some things that at the time looked great. And so he had a couple little highs himself. So from 16 to 18, he's still pretty much riding the wave Obama gave him. And then 18 gets here. Or this is 16. So 17 gets here. And we're back with the Republican administration. He's riding the wave. He's riding the wave. It dips a little bit, but he comes back up. It's here. 2019 is here. So this article was written, like I say, in 2020 because as far as they went is 2019. Okay, and 2019 we started. Of course, we all know we started to fall off some because um, within that next year we would be experiencing C19. So again, it's on a chart that shows he did not create it. He did not create a strong economy. He inherited one. What is this? Unemployment rate. Okay. We got a recession here from '08 to the middle of '09. We're in recession in '09. Now it looks like we were actually gaining some, but we were still in that recession. Right? Obama implemented some things, policies, and it went up. And then it looks like it started to trickle back down for different reasons. Okay. And so then we're here. And then in 2017, Trump took over and it continued to trickle down. Now, the tax cuts was here between 2017 2018 is where the tax cuts started and to take effect, went down. So this trickle down that you see, because this is unemployment went up, got as high as 10%. And then Obama implemented some things and the unemployment rate starts to come down. So now we're at 4.7% here. Trump gets in office, It goes down to 4.1%. He initiates those tax cuts for the corporate businesses, and it comes down to 3.5%. Okay. So once again, he did not create it, he inherited it. It was already trickling down. Did he add some more to it? Of course, it happened. Now, what we have to understand is we don't know if it was off a policy that was placed into place by Obama, and he just caught the the after effects of it, or if it's something that he also put into place, which also helped it along. Just because a president changed doesn't mean a policy expires. Just because, uh, you know, all of the people that work with that particular administration change out. Because as we already read in Project 2020, that some of the cabinet members actually change out once the president changes instead of afterwards. Okay. So here's the median household income here. So in 2008, coming off of Bush, the median household was, I would say, about 59,000, or right at 59,000. But then Obama got 6,000. But then 2012 came along, and we're getting to the end of that recession that would have taken twice as long, and so it boosts back up to about 58,000. But then it took a dip again around 2014, and we're sitting at about 57,000. But then some implementation of Obama has happened, and now we're rising again. So about 2017, the Obama administration peaked at around 62,000, and then Trump gets into office. Those policies are still in place, and so it peaked out at 63,000, a little bit over. Trump is taking he's taking some president changes, doesn't mean the policy changes. So whatever Obama did put in place, this credit that Trump is trying to take credit for is actually Obama's credit, not Trump's. Just like this right here, this dip right here, that people are trying to give Obama flack for, was coming off Seriously? Okay. So that was clearly my cue to leave because now the internet is act crazy and it's sitting right next to the router. Like it's the highest speed that Spectrum offers, and I'm sitting right next to the router. Anyways, don't know what's going on. Uh, Anywho, thank you for tuning in to another video. I hope you guys learned something. Leave your comments in the comment section. I don't care if you agree or disagree. We can always have a discussion about it. It's fine. That's what it's for. I understand everyone's not going to think the same, and that's fine. Like, that's okay. It's not a big deal. But for those who may or may not have known how the economy was doing between Barack Obama, uh, Trump, and now Biden, we kind of see the effects of everything that was put in place because what the president before puts in place has a strong influence on what takes place within at least the first year to 2 years of the new president. So the things that Biden have put in place, whoever gets into this office next time, at least for that first year, we're going to see the effects of some of the policies and things that Biden has put in place because policies day one, every policy. You may be able to get to a couple, but you're not going to be able to change the first ones. Not even in the first 30, 60, or 90 days are you going to get to everything. So there's some things that we're going to have to live with until another is put in place. So hopefully Biden has done a lot of good things so that we can see the remnants of that with the next presidential who comes in office. If you have not yet, please go over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers. We're actually almost there. We are almost there. We'll just need 25 more people to get to our first 100. Thank you so much for you guys who've already subscribed. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you also, leave a comment. Same thing for Facebook. Like it up, share it out, leave a comment. See you in the next video.